Welcome, welcome everyone. It's a condition for our happiness to be here together. So thank you for being here. I'm Keith Mesker. So just a little overview, since we always have new folks here. We're using The Art of Living by Thich Nhat Hanh as the structure for this series. And I just can't recommend this book too highly. I just recommend you get it and enjoy it a lot. And so our purpose here is to learn how to practice mindfulness as the art of living and of generating happiness for ourselves and for others. And empowering ourselves to acknowledge and deal with life's difficulties, to see clearly, to understand the wrong views that we have that generate suffering and break free of our wrong views. In a 5-word summary of this whole practice: to stop, to calm, to rest, to heal, and to transform. I like having that memorized because then I can practice breathing with each of those, and it's a lovely reminder of how to move in the direction of well-being. And I want this to empower you to establish a daily practice and to find a community or to form a community to practice with. Could be you and one other person, but it's extremely important that we have, that we share our practice with others. And each class will include teaching, guided meditation, walking meditation, Q&A, and sharing experiences of using mindfulness to transform our lives. So I will invite a sound of the bell. And the sound of the bell is the invitation to come back to yourself, to come back to your breathing, to come back to your body, and to come back to your feelings and the present moment. So the chapter and the topic for today is signlessness, which might sound like a not very clear idea. But hopefully that will not be the case after tonight. And the chapter on signlessness in this book is just awesome. It's worth the time and the few dollars just for that. It's quite rich. And the first 3 chapters of the book are the 3 doors of liberation. It's one of the core teachings in Buddhism. And so the 3 doors of liberation are emptiness, signlessness, and aimlessness. And one of you was talking about being, busy and how that gets in the way of being present. And the founder of the lineage that Thich Nhat Hanh is a part of is from it's around the 8th century, the Tang Dynasty in China. And Lin Chi was the founder of this lineage. And he's also known as Rinzai in Japan, but Chinese name was Lin Chi. And one of his signature ideas was the businessless person. And he used the term, nothing to do, nowhere to go. As Ram Dass famously said, be here now. That's very much what we're about learning how to do. So there's two important things about signs. Signs are words, symbols, things that identify other things. And so there's two things that we want to accomplish. One is to not be caught by signs. So, for instance, this set of hands in front of me, I could just go, oh yeah, hands, and move on, and I would overlook it more than I would look at it. So to look deeply into something is to see beyond the label, the sign. And then the other thing is not to need signs in order to see what is not obvious. That wood carving is only here because the sun is here, and because the earth is here, and the oceans are here, and the sun warms the ocean and the air, the moisture rises up and forms the clouds which fall on the earth. And all of that we can see if we look deeply into these hands. We don't need there's no sign of them here with us at the moment. But with the eyes of signlessness, we can see what is not obvious, what there's no sign of at the moment. So we learn with the eyes of signlessness that we are without boundaries of space and of time. Ultimately, we are the universe in all of space and the whole 13.8 billion year history of it unfolding in us at this moment. So our goal is liberation from signs. And another way that that's been said is the map is not the territory. The word is not the thing. Reality is infinitely more than any idea that any of us has. And our thoughts, a wonderful opportunity here is to not be caught by our own thoughts. Just because we think something, it doesn't mean it's true. And a lot of us have learned to distrust what other people say, but we need to distrust maybe equally, maybe more so, what we say, our own thoughts. And it's not so much to distrust them as just to know that, our thoughts are just one of the patterns that constitutes our experience. The world, what we call the world, is our experience, and our thoughts are one of the happenings that constitute our world. So we can not be overly attached. They, like everything else, they're impermanent. They come, they have their moment, and they go. And there's a teaching that says where there is perception, there's deception. Our thoughts deceive us. In particular, they make us cling to the territory, the map, and not directly experience the territory as deeply as we're capable of. And to live deeply is very much what this practice is about. So experiencing our breath in silence, we're in touch with our body, with the atmosphere of the earth. The air, the atmosphere comes rushing into our body with every in-breath, and every out-breath is a contribution we make to the atmosphere. It's a lovely meditation to contemplate that. And with the eyes of signlessness, we see that the ocean is producing the air that we breathe in, and the green and the growing world is producing the oxygen that flows into us and nourishes every cell in our body. And our breath is food. The CO2 we breathe out is food for the green plants of this world. So with a mindful breath, we become mindful of the world in its wholeness. Because in silence, we're not dividing the world up. We just dwell as the wholeness in that moment. And that is a moment of enlightenment. And it's a chance for us to directly experience interbeing. Interbeing with the earth, the sun, and the whole cosmos. This chapter was so good that I was tempted just to come in and read to you. Well, I will read a little bit. Let's see, page 53. You are much more than this body. By now, you may already begin to see that we are not limited to our physical body, even while we're alive. We inter-are with our ancestors, our descendants, and the whole cosmos. We don't have a separate self. We are never really born, and we never really die. We are interconnected with all life, and we are always in transformation. And we can remember that we're living our lives now, here. This is it. We're not living to get somewhere else in the future. This is our life. If you, Deer Park Monastery, Thich Nhat Hanh has about a dozen monasteries around the whole world, and one of them's right up the road here in Escondido, up in the hills. It's called Deer Park Monastery, and most Sundays they have days of mindfulness, and you can go and have a lovely day there and get to know the community, and a chance to practice deep relaxation and have a a walking meditation and a wonderful time, and hear a Dharma talk. But in the main hall, which is the centerpiece of the monastery, where 1,000 people have gathered to listen to Thai talk, there's no Buddha. There's no statue of a Buddha in there. There's a big, huge carving, wood carving of one of Thai's calligraphies, and it just says, "This is it." So that's the message. So this chapter is about, he emphasizes this teaching of 8 bodies. You know, we don't just have one body. We have at least 8. And the first body is the human body. Thanks to our human body, we can feel, we can heal, and we can transform. We can experience life in all its wonders. We can reach out to take care of someone we love. We can reconcile with a family member. We can see something beautiful. We can hear the song of birds and the voice of the rising tide. And we can act to make our world a healthier, more peaceful, and compassionate place. Thanks to our body, everything is possible. Just in case you had the idea that Buddhism was about otherworldliness. It's not. Our physical body is a miracle, a beautiful wonder of the cosmos. And the second body is the Buddha body. And you know, the word Bud means awake. So a Buddha is just a human being who's awake. Nothing special. So with our, and the saying is, Buddha is my mindfulness, shining near, shining far. And using that, we appreciate the beauty of nature, and we are awake, fully present, loving, and compassionate. Thai said, the more you water the seeds of mindfulness, concentration, and insight in you, the more your Buddha body will grow and the happier and freer you'll become. Cultivating the mind of love. I just love that phrase. That's the title of one of his books. Cultivating the mind of love will give you the great energy necessary to respond to the suffering in the world and bring relief and transformation. The third body is our spiritual practice body. Thai said, spiritual practice is the art of knowing how to generate happiness and handle suffering, just as a gardener knows how to make good use of mud to grow lotus flowers. Every act of mindfulness grows our spiritual body, and every act of mindfulness actually rewires our brain for mindfulness. So mindfulness becomes a habit every time we practice it. Some habits are very good. And the fourth body is our community body. That's us. You know, this is a practice community. And it's called a Sangha in Thai's tradition. And Martin Luther King talked about the beloved community. That's the Sangha. That's the practice community. And Thai and Martin Luther King were friends. And we have a shared aspiration and commitment to supporting each other in order to achieve our aspiration of living mindfully. And as a community, we can nourish many people on earth. And the fifth body is the body outside the body. We're not just limited to this, we sort of imagine that our body is this envelope of skin, and Alan Watts had the phrase, the skin encapsulated ego. We sort of have this idea that we're somebody, thinking away inside of our body. But that somebody is what's not really there. That's the separate self that doesn't actually exist. It's a figment of our imaginations. So our bodies actually are limitless in space. And the sixth body is our continuation body. So that's the time dimension. So we're not limited in time, and we're not limited in space. All of our ancestors are in us. You think about our parents are in every cell of our body, and our grandparents, their DNA, and you just keep going back and back. By the time you get back to the Greeks, every single person alive then is one of our great-great-great-great-grandparents. And our actions of thought, speech, and physical activity, those are the three forms of action. It's very interesting. Thought, speech, and physical activity. Those are our three forms of action. And they continue, they're patterns that continue through all space and time. So what you think is not really just a private affair. You know that what you think affects what you say and affects what you do. And so it's an energy that simply continues. On a TED Talk, I heard somebody say, just pretend that every thought you think you are whispering into the ear of a beloved one. Would you do this to any other human being? And I wouldn't. So we can apply loving kindness to our own thinking and bring our thinking around to what's called in Buddhism right thought, which is nourishing thought. Thought which reminds us to be loving and compassionate and awake. Our power, our thinking has great power in that way. Thai uses the cloud a lot in his teaching. He talks about how, we could be looking up at a cloud and thinking, oh, it's so beautiful, look at that shape. And then you look away and you look back and it's completely gone. And did the cloud die? No, the cloud didn't die. And when the rain falls, the cloud becomes the rain. It's a transformation. And everything is like that. So there's no birth and there's no death. And that's a core teaching. And then the seventh body is our cosmic body. Our cosmic body encompasses the entire phenomenal world. The wonder is that our human body, the wonder that is our human body will disintegrate one day, but we are much more than this human body. We are also the cosmos, which is the foundation of our body. Without the cosmos, the body would not be here. With the insight of interbeing, we can see that there are clouds inside us. The cloud became the rain, which became the tea, which became us. There are mountains and rivers, fields and trees. There is sunshine. We are children of light. We are sons and daughters of the sun and the stars. The whole cosmos is coming together to support our body in this very moment. Our little human body contains the entire realm of all phenomenon throughout space and throughout time. You'd think that would be it, wouldn't you? You know, being the cosmos would be, but no, there's one more level to this. And in the sutra that this teaching comes from, it's called something like the true nature of things body, and or you could say the true nature of the cosmos body. And I was at the 21-day retreat in Plum Village in France when Thay gave the teachings that this book is based on. And he spent almost the entire time talking about these 8 bodies. And one of the times he's talking about the cosmos true nature body, and he goes, that is too many words. We'll just call it cosmic consciousness. And I thought, oh, that's so good, because now you have cosmos as 7 and cosmic consciousness as 8. It's so in keeping with our teaching. And so, cosmic consciousness, somebody else would call that God consciousness, or we could call it the ultimate. In Buddhism, another word for that is store consciousness. It's like the background consciousness that is directly aware of reality. Doesn't need signs. It's our direct experience of the whole and all of the individual manifestations of the whole. Cosmic consciousness. One of the other metaphors that Thay loves a lot is the wave and the water, or the wave and the ocean. The ocean is another metaphor for cosmic consciousness here, for the source of everything. So, if you gave a wave a little bit of self-awareness, it might go, oh, this doesn't look good. I can see I'm going to crash and die in a matter of seconds. And the wave might look around, and there's a much bigger wave, and kind of feel inferior to this big wave, and or it might look at a little wave and go, huh, Or it might look at other waves and go, hey, we're equal. And so part of our practice is to transcend the superiority complex, the inferiority complex, and the equality complex. You might wonder, well, why would you need to transcend an equality complex? Because you're still comparing yourself, still evaluating our worth based on how we compare, rather than knowing that, for this wave to be big, there has to be a trough, there have to be small waves, For me to be as big as I am, there have to be smaller waves. And everything is integral to the whole. We are integral members of the community of all beings, and so is everything else in space and in time. Even the things we detest the most, even Adolf Hitler. Because of Adolf Hitler, we have the Museum of Tolerance. And we have a lesson that is terribly important that we understand. One way or another, it's all aspects of the whole. Our store consciousness is in touch with the ocean right now. Right now. And with mindfulness, we become the ocean and enter the realm of interbeing. When we look deeply at anything, we see its interbeing and we touch the deepest level of the cosmos. We discover that we are the ultimate.